Hey, Carlos.
Hey Rick, how's it going?
It's Friday, another week.
It's Friday. It's Friday, another week, another episode, and looking forward to the weekend. This is probably the only thing getting in between us and the weekend. So, really excited to have this episode. And we're trying with a shorter one today. So, we're going to talk about Google, of course, because there is no episode that we cannot talk about Google. But so they go on the defensive, right? There's been a lot of criticism around their search results and surfacing what can be seen as unhelpful um, content from forums. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then, Rick, you're going to talk to us about tips for effective landing pages. I'm really looking forward to that. Great topic. We're actually working on our new homepage, so maybe this is going to be helpful for ourselves. Um, I came across a very interesting article yesterday about CNET and Best Buy signing a new content partnership, and I want to share with you, Rick, and with the audience a little bit more about that. And it's very relevant, I think, for the times we're living in. And then, Rick, you're going to share a little bit about DeepL, which is a new tool, and it seems to be a content assistant. I don't know what this is about. I haven't come across it, but you're going to tell us what you found. And we're going to close the episode talking about how to use first person perspective in your content. Okay, so hopefully you all find this episode helpful. We got an amazing comment this morning in our
We
last
did. We
from our last
did. We have a
yeah
fan.
from our last video. So thank you, that one fan, which is now to grow our fandom to two. So double, 100% growth. Okay, well, let's get into it. So Google is defending their search results. There's been lots of criticism lately about search results, and a lot of that criticism is going to especially forum content, namely Reddit, Quora, etc., where Google is surfacing forum results for your money, your life queries, more specifically health queries, and is surfacing comments, which is not even like data or facts. They're just surfacing comments from a forum. So they're getting a lot of heat on that. Of course, Danny Sullivan has been on the defense and replying to many of the comments of people like Lily Ray and others that raising their concerns and complaints. So pretty much what Danny's saying is that look, we're not perfect. We don't get it 100% right. I'm taking this feedback and sending it back to the search team so they can adjust. And it's an ever evolving algorithm, and we'll fix it. And we understand your concerns, and they're valid. They're also clarifying because, of course, people take comments and make their own interpretation. So Dan is also clarifying some of those comments. He's not saying that if everybody likes forum results, then that's what they're going to show. They're going to try to figure out a way to categorize, how to filter those results. But it's an interesting and evolving discussion. I guess my takeaway is Google's listening somehow. At least they're humble enough to say, yeah, we don't get it right, and these things are continually evolving, and we're taking the feedback. So yeah, I don't know, like all things Google and all things algorithm, we'll have to wait and see how these continue to evolve. But yeah, still lots of noise. I think it's going to be a while until the search results show an improvement around this. Also, there's an article going around on the web around the man that killed search, or the man that killed Google search, something like that. We don't want to talk about it just now. I think we need to do some more digging. But there's a lot of speculation that search in general, the search results quality has gone down. I don't know what to make of it. I have mixed opinions about it. I think search in general has improved in many ways. But yeah, there's other cases where search results, I don't know what's going on. So there's also some conspiracy theories about the ad team working with the search team to feed each other. And there's always been that I don't know, myth or urban legend that that your search results are impacted by the ad results, and if you want to show up in search, you need to spend money on ads. Again, this is an urban legend in my opinion, and I think Google has come out many times to talk about like that's not true. But anyway, I think I digressed. But Rick, what's your take on this?
A couple things, and we should talk about that article next week's video, right?
Okay.
Because it does go into how Google was kind of built on this separation of church and state, ad search, and we keep search away from the money. And this guy, Ed Zittner, I think who wrote it, really goes into depth on the history of the people involved and how that separation has collapsed over the last 4 years, all due to what the writer says is one man. So everybody check it out. Let's talk about it next week, maybe a little more in depth. But back to your original point, we've talked a few times about UGC, particularly YMYL categories. And Danny Sullivan's response to that, which I have to hope they're going to do a little bit better, because I think since the last time we spoke, Carlos, I saw another article where someone actually managed to rank, above the fold on Google in a Reddit result or something with a post they had just written 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes, and boom, there it is. Wow. In a search result. So yeah, definitely a lot of tweaking left to do on Google's part there to make sure that they're serving appropriate content, especially in those sensitive categories that relate to your money, your life. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And as always, just keep creating great content. I think I still believe that that still will win in the long run. So anyway, but let's stay tuned to see what happens with this. Okay, Rick, give us some tips about how to create effective landing pages.
Great. Yeah, so let's jump into this real quick. So I think everybody in our audience probably knows what a landing page is, but just to be clear, a landing page is a standalone page that's specifically created for a marketing campaign or an advertising campaign. And it's the page that a visitor lands on when they click the link in that campaign. They're built to convert. That is pretty much their sole focus, either create a lead or to convert a sale. And the traffic comes from PPC, email campaigns, social media ads, even direct from your site through a banner, things of that nature. So that's a landing page. Now, the common components of a landing page are a headline. A sub-headline is pretty common. Visuals, a lead capture form, a CTA button, content. By content, I mean written content, testimonials, social proof, and that content would typically have benefits and features. Those are the primary ingredients to a landing page. So with that background out of the way, let's get into the tips. And where I want to focus here, Carlos, is above the fold. Your entire pitch needs to be above the fold. And what I mean by that is it's not blank beneath the fold, but I want you to think of everything below the fold as how you are trying to convert those who you couldn't get done with what's above the fold. It's your supporting argument. It's a little bit more. It's that push. Mm-hmm. But you need everything, your big guns, right at the top. So your headline obviously should be up there. Headline and a subtitle, and the headline should be clear and compelling. And your subtitle should offer a brief explanation, on whatever it was you said in the headline. But not a lot of copy here. And what I need you to do with that sub-headline is to think of, we always like what's the biggest feature we want to call out. But oftentimes I see this a lot on landing pages. We miss connecting that to the pain point. We skip that part where we say, why did we attract this person to our page? What are they experiencing that led them here? And then tying that feature to it, so that the benefit resonates with them. Does that make sense? Like, Carlos, we just did a promo, right? Audits. We
Mm-hmm.
did a promo. We offered a bunch of free audits to some of our audience, to some of our prospects and clients. Um, and I don't remember if that was just a an email campaign or if that led to a landing page or not. But I would hope that, if we had a landing page, did we put thought into why someone wants to take us up on this offer? If somebody wants us to do a site audit for them, why? It could be that
Yeah.
their site's underperforming. They're worried about, March's core update, helpful content. Am I going to get, am I in trouble? So they're worried. They're worried about something. So we should take that, the main feature of that audit that we're going to do for them and tie it to how it's going to help them stop worrying, about their
So
website,
tied to a
about its
feeling.
performance. Right. Making that emotional connection with the very small amount of copy that you're going to have above the fold. Um, Also above the fold, some sort of visual. It can be an image. It can be a video. Video would be better. And if you find yourself gravitating toward that stock imagery, just stop. Please don't. Take a nice picture of your product or, of yourself at your business, something true to life. Avoid stock imagery. You need a lead capture form if it's not a direct converting page. Um, a little side tip here: if it is a direct converting page, that button to convert should be above the fold, and a lead capture form should still be there, but down further. That'll help capture leads for those who are maybe undecided. They need a little more information. This way, they're not just escaping where direct convert is their only option. So put that lead
Mm-hmm.
capture form down below. If the page can direct, if they can buy it, if they can sign up, then go with that direct conversion in the top, lead capture form down below. Like I just said, CTA above the fold, and it should be clearly labeled with exactly what it's going to do. Buy now, sign up now, get started now, but try not to be vague here. Then below the fold is where you start building for those who just couldn't get it done. All right, so more copy, more features and benefits, more pain points. The social proof can be, all of this stuff is to design those who you couldn't convert with everything that was above the fold. Now, if you find your landing page is one process of conversion, where it's the entirety of the copy on the page that's built to convert, you're fighting a losing battle. That top needs to be built to convert. If I as a reader need to get through, if it is just this long narrative, if it almost could serve as a blog post, throw it away, start over. Short, sweet. Your article writers should not be creating this copy unless they're one of those few who can do both marketing copy and general copy. This should not have much narrative at all. And the bottom part of it, below the fold, is built to help convert those you couldn't convince with the top. Um, Last but not least, if ever you're going to A/B test, your landing pages are where it should be. Try different iterations. Don't wait 30 days. Get a day or two's worth of data, enough of a sample size to be representative, and then make changes and keep changing and keep trying to optimize until you find what works. But with landing pages, it's worth it. And that's all I got on this topic, Carlos. Anything to add?
Yeah. No, I think emphasize that A/B testing is so critical because with copy and landing pages and websites, it's very subjective, right? Like, what is it going to work? Is this font going to work? Is this color going to work? It's all subjective. It's all based on opinion. So the only way to know is with data. And I think it's not. I think that the test shouldn't be in terms of time. It should be in terms of impressions or clicks, right? Maybe you said, okay, when we have 1,000 clicks, that's how long our test should be. Maybe it's a day. Maybe is 2 weeks. Maybe it is a full month, right? So I would measure my A/B test in matter of actions, or whether it's clicks, page views, impressions, etc. And I think it's great point about above the fold, below the fold, and very good reminder, Greg, that your copy your writer for marketing copy is not the same that for long form copy. Sometimes you might find that unicorn, that is, or that Swiss Army knife that is good
Right.
for many things.
If you have
But
one, send them our way.
if
We could use more.
yeah, exactly. But a great storyteller for long form content might not be a great copywriter for marketing copy. So very important to have that distinction, because two very different skills, right? Marketing copy is very short, impactful, appealing to emotions, and you want really to engage somebody very very quickly. Very different than that longer form content. But yeah, thank you, Rick. Great tips for creating landing pages. So very interesting partnership between CNET and Best Buy. So for those of you who are not familiar with CNET, they are a media publisher focused on technology. So they talk about many technology products, hardware and software. They do a lot of reviews. And of course, most of us are probably familiar with Best Buy, which is one of the biggest electronics and technology retailers in North America. So these two have decided to partner up and do a content partnership. So to understand the model, Best Buy is interested in people that want to buy electronics or technology. CNET has an audience of people that are interested in electronics technology, right? So these two are marrying those two audiences together, which I think is extremely clever. Why is that so clever right now? Because as we have seen with the recent updates, affiliate marketers and media publishers, product review sites have fallen a little bit out of favor or have been impacted by the most recent algorithm updates. So, and we have seen brands to pick up that traffic. So, CNET and Best Buy are marrying those two things together, like great content that is kind of affiliate marketing content and ad display content with a brand, which is Best Buy, and an actual product. So I think this is extremely clever. They're also combining their audiences. So they say that they're combining a total combined 50 million people in those combined audiences. And Best Buy is going to be putting CNET's content in on their stores. So I see a lot of synergies, right? Because people that go to CNET, people are interested. There might be early in the buyer journey of buying a piece of tech, right? Being a piece of software or a piece of hardware. And when they are going to Best Buy, they're already at the end of their journey. So they are also following the buyer or the prospective buyer along the journey, right? Best Buy was missing probably part of the early in the journey, whereas of course CNET couldn't probably taken all the way to the end of the journey, but they're closing the loop. So I think is an extremely interesting partnership. I can see how this could be a model for other media publishers to replicate and partner with a brand to have a very unique partnership. I think today publishers are partnering with brands, but more of an affiliate way. But if there's a more intimate partnership where their content gets displayed in the retailer or the product brand, might drive better results for both. So very interesting to see, very interesting to follow. I wanna see how this evolves and if they get positive results. Any initial impressions on this, Rick?
It's an initial impression, but I can't help but feel that there's some sort of conflict of interest here. I mean, just imagine, uh, Ford buying Consumer Reports. You know, and so now you have Best Buy married to a business that does lots of reviews on electronics. Consumer facing guides, buying guides, and I mean every retailer does their own buying guides and top this and that lists, but at least we know there's going to be some bias there. It's on their site. But I don't know.
I
I
can
don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I can totally see that. I
Yeah.
can totally see that. Now, but think about that. Also, Best Buy is a little bit more of a little bit of a marketplace in a way, right? Well, they also do have a marketplace,
Do
by
they
the
do
way.
the same like
Um,
Walmart does, where sellers
yeah,
can?
they also have that
I see.
marketplace. But if you think about it, okay, so yeah, they're going to be biased, but they're probably not going to be biased to any particular brand, unless now this is where it probably gets interesting, where the vendor is giving some sweeteners and some kickbacks to Best Buy to be feature higher. I don't
Or if
know.
the recommended
We'll
is
have to.
always the brands that Best Buy sells. Um, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, hey, businesses own plenty of media companies, right? It's this kind of conflict of interest isn't anything new, I suppose. So if any large retailer of electronic goods wants to partner with us at Crowd Content to help create send us samples and we can do real life testing of those items and write up our honest reviews, uh, just give me a call.
No, but I mean, if you think about it, like even affiliate marketers that are doing pro reviews will be somewhat biased as well. They're going to put their affiliate that gives them the best
They
commissions
do.
or gives them
Yes.
the best conversion at the top. So all these reviews are always going to be somewhat biased. But yeah, you get a point. Like I don't know how this would be 100% neutral and unbiased. Anyway, very interesting partnership. I think for or folks in the audience that are in the affiliate marketing industry or media publishing industry, something to think about and something to follow. Maybe there's a model here that can be replicated. Okay, what is this DL content assistant stuff, Rick? What is this
Yeah.
all about? What did you come
Honestly,
across?
Carlos, this is a last minute addition uh, to our agenda for today's call. It wasn't maybe an hour and a half ago that I was reading an article and I saw this headline about DeepL, which is just another AI tool. But where other AI tools focus on content creation, this one was built to focus on content polishing, editing, um, review of that content. And I was intrigued, right? Because this is something, I've tinkered with AI trying to find a way to get it to do a good job, like at the QA level or the editing level, to see how well it can perform. And so far, it has not been good. So it's like, ooh, I'll check this tool out. So signed up, and for transparency, I didn't give it a whole lot of time. I plugged some content into it, took a look at the recommendations it was making, and then shut down my subscription, and moved on. And that's what's led to this quick little rant. So basically, all it did, Carlos, was kind of what I expected to do. It made minor changes. It replaced words with synonyms. It found little opportunities here and there to take two words and turn it into one. I mean, a lot of the changes were good. There's nothing wrong with the change it made, and maybe marginally improved the flow of a sentence. But some of them were just kind of a net zero game, like it's just swapping out one word for another. And it just got me to thinking, and this is something I've been trying to have our community manager focus on and our CMs focus on our editors with, is that editing content is so much more than a proofread. It's so much more than that grammar. And it's always in every best practice list, be concise, right? Of course, you should be concise, but that doesn't mean you have to like just be eagle-eyed and start trimming words so far down that you're left with a Dick and Jane book. See Jane run, see Dick throw the ball. Um, and I feel that's all these tools are doing. So and it got me thinking. We did daily nuggets of wisdom for at least 6 or 8 months now, where my entire team, we all read the same article every day, and we get together on our stand up and we discuss what we learned. What we agree, what we don't agree. And I was thinking back over, it had to be 150, 200 articles that we've read. Some of the best ones, the most valuable ones, were okay on the writing side. They could have used a brush up from an editor, but what they provided was value. And some of those things that we talk about as far as EEAT really shined through on them. And that's where editors need to focus, whether it's AI or human. I mean, don't get me wrong, don't publish garbage. There is a threshold that you need to hit. It's a fuzzy line, but there's a threshold where your garbage is just, where your content is garbage writing and where it's good enough. Absolutely strive for great. And we push our teams to produce great content that's really well written, really concise. But that's not the measuring stick you should be using. If you're in Grammarly, if you're in this DeepL or any other tool, and you're just looking at the words and how can I make it more concise or how can I make it flow a little bit better, you're not going to see major gains. Where you're going to see major gains is in the context, in the substance. And that's what your reviewer, be it human or computer, needs to focus. What's your message and is it good? That's all. That's my rant.
So, yeah, no, I love it because, yeah, I think editing goes beyond just proofreading. I think we need to differentiate that. And we mentioned it several times that proofreading is not editing, proofreading is proofreading, right? Like grammar, style. And there's lots of tools out there and lots of good proofreaders, but even AI can do a decent job of proofreading. But editorial is about, flow and style and also, adherence to voice and brand and, like, are you providing value? So, let me ask you this. So have you found any tool that does a good job of editing so far?
No.
Or helping with editing?
No.
So there are decent proofreading tools.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I've gotten some great insights plugging content that I've written into ChatGPT and saying, with the right prompts, coaxing good information out of it. Hey, you might want to look at taking this approach instead. Don't forget to mention, so you can get some, but I've not found a tool built specifically to do that performs well and performs well consistently. Outside of a good editor, of course. But yeah. And let me clarify, because I'm not saying that it's not important to have well written, from a grammar and a punctuation and a clarity standpoint, content. It's very incredible. It's very important. And your audience will notice if the writing is bad and clunky, and that will hurt your metrics, and you'll lose these people. So make sure the content is well written. It is proofread. But if that's the only function of the review of your content after it comes from a writer, is to make sure the words there are good, you're missing the majority of the battle. Like, you're only hitting a small part of what you need to be doing. The more important part is in the value of the message.
Right on. Well said, Breck. Okay, well, let's close the episode talking about how to use first-person perspective. Tell us a little bit more about that. And hopefully this is a very, very, very useful tactical tool for people, creating content.
It is. And this also goes back to those nuggets again, and how some of those really valuable articles that we identified, many of those were in first person. So a little background. I'm sure most of you all remember this from grade school, right? So first person perspective, I, me, us, we, in your writing. Second, you, your, addressing your audience. And third is they, them, him, she, her. Those are your perspectives. The majority of B2B content is written in second and third person perspective. It's always a best practice to address the audience directly, so you see lots of you and your. You see some first person, more from a we, our perspective, when speaking as the business. But what I want to talk to you about today is articles that are bylined and are providing advice or opinions or thought leadership, and using first person perspective there with a ghostwriter, because that gets tricky. If you're writing informational posts, your basic how-tos, you're not giving opinions, staying in third, second person, totally fine. But first person in advice, opinion, thought leadership articles, I think it's critical. It engages your audience better. It gives that personal touch, and it really lends authority to the author. The articles that I read, and I don't know the bylined article from, or the bylined author from any, like, I don't know who this person is, but I do notice when it's first person and that authority comes through, and it builds a sense of trust. Like, hey, this person knows what he's talking about. I should listen to him or her. And it really gets me engaged as a reader. But there are potential downfalls. And before I get into the how you accomplish this with a ghostwriter, let's talk about those, just a couple of downfalls. First, authenticity. Let me say that a ghostwriter, you hire a ghostwriter to write, not to think for you. They're writing for you. You're not hiring them to develop your opinions for you or your advice for you. They do the writing. So if you are skipping over that part where you transfer that knowledge to them, don't write in first person. Don't even put your name on it. You're gambling here that your ghostwriter is going to come up with good information, good content, good ideas, and you're going to want your name on it or something, maybe your boss's name on it when it gets published on your site. So if you aren't going to put the time in, don't do first person. And then be careful with overusing it. You want to keep the message on your audience. So lots of you and yours still. If it just turns into I, me, that can be distracting for an audience. And it becomes less about them, more about you, and you could lose them. So mix it in selectively. But now let's talk about how to actually accomplish this, right? Because a ghostwriter isn't you, and they don't have your ideas or thoughts. So if this is an approach you're going to take, and you're really going to try to engage the audience through first person, here's what you need to do. First, spend time with that writer, face to face. You've got to talk to them. They've got to learn your voice. They need to document it, or you should work with them to develop a voice document specifically for you. It's going to be different from your brand voice because it's you and you're speaking in first person and you're bylined on the article. So it should not mimic your brand voice. It should be your voice. It should be authentic, and it should come through in every piece. So make sure that gets documented with them. Have regular interaction with this person, especially at the beginning. It could take several months before that writer knows how to come through with your voice. They know your fundamental ideas on whatever it is you do. And they would need less guidance from you. But you're going to have to put in the time in those first few months, meeting with them regularly, going through what they've created, giving them feedback, reviewing their changes until it's just right. And then once you're through that kind of calibration phase, getting a writer aligned, you still got to get them information, and that's done through your content brief. I've talked about this before. Make them a recording for each subject they're going to write about, where it's just you giving your ideas and thoughts on it, maybe working from a list of questions, giving them some anecdotes, tie-in stories from your personal experience with clients in this industry so that they can confidently write, when I did this thing, here's what happened. You've got to give them that information. Please don't let your writers write in first person for you if you're not giving them the information to do it. I promise you will find better engagement data if it's done right. Your readers will stay on the page longer. They'll share more. You may even increase conversions, especially if your conversion for your thought leadership type content is subscription newsletter. You'll likely get increased conversions there. More comments, more shares, lower bounce rate. I think that's about it. Some really important metrics there that I think you'll see a big improvement in if you use first person, again, thought leadership, advice, opinion type content. Give it a try. Send me an email if you have any questions about how to make all that happen. I'd be happy to give you a hand. Any thoughts, Carlos, on that? I'm excited to do this myself. There's a lot of my content's in third person.
Yeah, and look, I think thought leadership and having opinion pieces are becoming more important. A better way also to differentiate your content, especially if you're you have a heavy SEO focus content strategy, it's good to probably sprinkle a little bit of this, because this breaks out the mold a little bit. And I think also search engines are rewarding having an expert perspective. So it's more valuable than just going with the same information there's no really new information. There's the same information just gets processed um,
But
and recreated
sometimes,
in certain
Carlos, it's
ways.
your
But
anecdote that's the new information.
yeah,
That's the
exactly.
information gain. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel to have information gain, right? But illustrate the how
Absolutely.
to with an anecdote that you personally experienced. There's unique differentiation. There's information gain.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So having that's the only thing that cannot be replicated is your opinion, because we all have one and they're all different. So if you have a valid opinion that is supported by your expertise and by your experience and anecdotes and stories, yeah, just bring it up to the surface. And make sure that you document your voice, your personal voice or your brand voice, so a ghostwriter can capture it and put it in your content pieces. So with that, thank you everyone for listening. We were able to stay below 40 minutes. Great.
We did make it shorter, 36.
Yeah, so we keep trying. But thank you very much, everybody, for listening. And until next episode, Rick, have a great weekend.
Thanks, Carlos. You too. Bye, everyone.